Insights episode 313. A shout out to our viewers to like this program so it can reach its maximum potential. Today is Wednesday, the 23rd of February, and here is what is happening around the world. Russia-Ukraine developments. The world watches the beginning of a Russian invasion in Ukraine. Russian aggression also sheds light on NATO's limitations. Sridharji, welcome to PGurus channel. Sir, as a co-host, you and I, we have discussed this. This is one of those things where, you are on a snow-packed road and you're trying to brake, but you are not able to brake and you're slowly going and hitting the front guy in front of you. That's exactly how this thing has played out, sir. We've been saying this. Nothing has happened.
Well, I think good morning, good day, and to everybody. Looking forward to another great session, and the world is full of sensationalism, and Mr. Vladimir Putin is playing out the script, as one would like to say, and in no uncertain terms, Mr. Biden is enabling the drama to play out while the Europeans watch with helplessness, and the Asians are just kind of smiling away and saying, okay, we got to take care of ourselves. As you correctly said, that this is a very well orchestrated play. This goes back to almost 12 years when this whole drama started. And one of the most telling aspects of this is the foreign minister of Ukraine making a statement today that is most profound, notwithstanding the fact he's sitting with NATO. And that statement is, it is very regrettable that we have given away our nuclear deterrence. In that lies the Ukraine problem. And who was responsible for the first and foremost Ukraine shedding away? It is the West and it is the NATO. Now, Ukraine is staring down the barrel and there is none who is coming to their support. And what did Mr. Biden say? You must go back and listen to his press conference. Don't listen to me, because I know that there are some very irrational comments that gets made. And his comments were, we are not going to have boots on the ground in Ukraine because we cannot have two world powers, staring at each other and firing bullets. This was the statement by Mr. Biden, which is to say that there will be no troops on ground. That effectively guaranteed Mr. Putin to walk in and slowly but surely take charge of Ukraine.
And now news is emerging that the boots on the ground have been there for about 2 weeks now. And when we said that this was actually an invasion, a lot of people said, no, you are getting words out of context. Turns out we were proved right. So let's move on here and see how things are playing out further. Biden announces sanctions on Russian banks and oligarchs over invasion. In a coordinated move from Australia to Japan to Europe, many nations announced Russia sanctions. The nations on major security alert over cyber attacks on military and other civil infrastructure installation. Sridharji, this is the other thing. Leading up to this, like last 5-6 days, there have been cyber attacks on Ukraine's institutions, isn't it?
Indeed, sir. I think if you recall, we covered a couple of this in a couple of our DGI programs. We have covered this, and basically that they have been targeting both civil and military installations using the cyber attacks. That was a precursor and almost a signal to the eastern provinces to get on to their bandwagon and start the act. Two things. One is the cyber attacks. Second is the simultaneous exercises that is going on within Belarus as a staging ground. And the world still did not wake up, except they were making the statement. The intelligence inputs are that Russia's invasion of Ukraine is inevitable. Except for that, nothing has happened. Mind you, we have had Russian cyber attacks in United States for time immemorial. Yes. And what is United States then? We have done nothing, sir. We have done nothing as far as mitigating it. For all, doesn't matter whether it is Trump time, doesn't matter whether it is Obama time prior, and doesn't matter now during the Biden time. We are almost helpless as we watch this unfolding drama.
One of the things that people have to sit back and take notice is a systematic way in which China and Russia have like chipped away at our institutions. The security thing about what we think, like we are able to do all our transactions safely and securely, even online transactions, is a myth now. SolarWinds software has been hacked, and that was a networking layer that found itself in just about every software used. And we are continuously seeing these rollouts of fix after fix after fix. So many times quiet installs where you are forcibly told that, oh, I'm upgraded your operating system. What, when, how, why? No questions asked. So these kinds of things are going on, and we don't know if our computers today are safer than what they were 8 months ago. We just have to keep praying that, I hope my account doesn't get hacked. Next news. German Chancellor halts Nord Stream 2 pipeline after Moscow recognizes separatist regions in Ukraine. Russia, on the contrary, vows to keep pumping gas even as Germany announces halt. I need a bit of a clarification, Sridharji. To me, it looks like Russia is saying it will continue to pump gas to the existing route, not through the Nord Stream. If the Nord Stream is closed, you can't pump into that, right?
Nord Stream 2 pipe goes through Ukraine, and parts of it goes through even Belarus. So what he is doing is, it is the last bit of extension that needs to be completed around the European end, which is into the Germany. So he is continuing to kind of keep that pipe open. I will not be surprised. I mean, I don't have data to assert my claim or establish my claim, but I will not be surprised if they have already built some kind of a storage capability to build up the gas. And what he will do, he will divide Europe, because anybody who wants power, or who wants gas, is going to be supplied should they stop that last bit of connection into Germany. So he is sitting there and making all the calls. Remember this, this kind of play eventually catches up once the Europeans unite. But clearly, sir, he is delivering a message, which is to say that, hey, I'm not stopping the pumping of the gas. Okay.
And US military power being rushed to Ukraine as the besieged nation faces the Russian might. Blinken will not meet with Russian foreign envoy Lavrov over Ukraine invasion. One of the things that I heard, and I don't know if this is confirmed or not, was that Blinken was actually talking to Chinese defense minister or Chinese foreign minister, seeing if he could find a way through this mess. How will that help, sir? I don't know.
Well, I think he did speak with Dr. Wang Yi, the Chinese foreign minister. The conversations revolved around the security issues evolving around Ukraine. The Chinese foreign ministry has issued a statement that the security perceptions and the security threat that Russia is talking about with regard to NATO is real. The sentiments of the Russians must be heard. This was the statement that came out after that specific meeting. Also, the same statement was made by the Chinese foreign minister at the Munich Security Conference, right? He made the similar kind of a statement. So I think as a coordination method, because without Chinese support, you're going to have two P5 members vetoing any move that the other three make. So this also tells you about the so-called bizarre United Nations, which is effectively totally ineffective in forcing any kind of agenda as it relates to the P5 nations getting involved, which is the reason why Trump blasted and he said United Nations is an irrelevant organization and it has lived past the expiry date.
And Russian military deployments continue. Belarus is fast emerging as Russia's staging base. It is now believed that Putin will not stop at Donbas region and will move broader across Ukraine. Putin also obtains permission from Duma to act militarily overseas to protect Russian interests. I think we have covered all these things, so let's move on to US news. The Supreme Court rejects Trump efforts to shield White House documents from the January 6th committee. Sridharji, much is being made of this Jan 6th, whatever you want to call it, sir. But what do you think is going to play out? Is it just another dragged out till October, November so they can keep the pot boiling against Trump?
They will keep this pot boiling till 2024 presidential elections.
Oh, so you are even here 2 more years.
Yeah, no, 2024, because there is no other issue. Okay, 2016, we are still in Russian election interference in the Clinton and President Trump election. We're still at it. Okay, so don't be surprised if this January 6th goes on and on and on, because every time Trump comes out and says, I am going to be back in contention for 2024 elections, then you have a major problem, because he can unify again, there's all this right wing or right elements and all the various frustrated elements. So he's also getting, Democrats are also getting warning from Michael Bloomberg, who is, who was originally neutral, who has turned an avid Democrat, making a statement: if Democrats don't change course, they're going to be swept out in the midterm elections. So what do? You keep the January 6th issue going and somehow find the needle in the haystack, where somehow pins everything on President Trump, and then they can say that they can use that as a bait in terms of what they want to accomplish, let alone midterm, but going up to the next presidential election.
Oh, well, soap opera will continue. Biden wants Americans of pain at the pumps as the Russian tensions escalate and oil futures dump. I think we said this thing right after the decision of Russia to basically send in the peacekeeping force. We have a special broadcast that started, I think that aired 2 days ago. Please do watch that one, because everything that we forecasted in that is going to come true. It's very unfortunate that we knew what was going to happen here, yet somehow people who could do something about it haven't done anything. Critical race theory makes its way into mandatory trainings at top US medical schools, new databases show. Sridharji, this critical race theory, why is America, or at least the Democrats, or should I say just the progressive element, so hung up about it, sir?
Well, this is another, going back to the past, this is another propaganda item, which basically their belief, Democrats' belief, which will unify the various constitutional elements within the broad US base. So I think that is what they're trying to do, and this has been the long-vested, unfinished agenda of the segments of the Democratic Party. I think that is why they are doing it. There are two specific strands that are coming out. One is moms who oppose critical race theory being taught in schools. They are being watched, monitored, and also being branded in some form equivalent to terrorists. And then you have formalization of this in various educational systems. The fact that now this is mainstream in the US medical education, as is being revealed by these databases, is very unfortunate.
Sheriffs want DHS alerts when illegal immigrants are shipped into their counties. This should have started from the day that these people opened the gates wide.
Well, I think they should have. But again, right through last year, we covered this topic, which is namely, first they let them in, then second they got into the buses, the third they were dumped into various cities and counties unbeknownst to any organization, be it state, be it local, be it county, be it law enforcement, nobody, including the welfare bodies or the welfare groups within that specific area. So what the DHS is doing is creating a rising wave of crime, not just in non-Republican or Republican states, but it is rising alarmingly in the Democratic managed and ruled cities and states, causing a panic. So the sheriffs are coming out and saying, by Joe, at least let us know if you're dropping people so we can at least monitor them. Just dumping them here and we figuring out when law and order breaks out is not a very pleasant situation to manage.
Sridharji, who is behind all this? If I have to hang this whole thing on a particular individual in the Democratic Party, who would that be?
Well, this is the great mystery, which is namely, it is the theory of the invisible hand. If you ask, the one person whom you can ask is Department of Homeland Security, Mr. Mayorkas. If you ask Mr. Mayorkas will tell you, I'm broadly executing the policy which has been enacted and which has been handed to me. So who has, mandated? You go around the circle, you ask Biden, you ask Vice President, you ask the President, you ask the Vice President, you ask the House. Nobody will take responsibility. Everybody will point the finger at somebody else. But there's a reasonable prediction. There's a broad set of people who are making this happen. Why they're making this happen? Because that is their vested agenda. This very, very unfortunate kind of situation. And the law enforcement people are becoming totally toothless as well as helpless in their ability to enforce. I think we have talked about this, ad nauseum. Who is responsible? We don't know, sir. I think that is the best answer. We can only guess.
Where is the Treasury Secretary as the inflation and commodity prices soar? This is one of those mysteries again, Sridharji. Janet Yellen has been missing for a while.
We are the first people, by the way.
Yes,
PGurus,
yes.
We are the first people to raise this question. Have you ever seen in any mainstream media ask the question, why is the Treasury Secretary? Is the Treasury Secretary attending her office? Is she briefing the nation? Is she briefing the world? Is she briefing the Biden administration? You have runaway inflation. You have rising prices of oil, gas, and commodities. You have retail prices shooting up. You have had almost a government shutdown, and they just barely bailed out thanks to the 4 Republican senators not coming in, and they somehow bundled this. And then fortunately the Republicans, Mitch McConnell has as well made a stake in the ground saying that I'm not going to shut the government down. And they made sure that additional funding was granted. So that means basically we are adding more debt. Now, where is the Treasury Secretary to respond to where is the balance sheet of this country? What exactly is the requirements? What are the policy measures that she is putting in place on the fiscal side? Everything is not monetary. There is a fiscal side. Only in United States, especially under the Democratic administration, you can have a Treasury Secretary missing in action. We saw something similar during Mr. Geithner's time when he was under Obama. And we are now beginning to see this play out, especially by a very, very respectable lady, who is missing, who is our humble Treasury Secretary.
In some ways, this is unusual because Janet Yellen used to be on the monetary side of the world, and then she has moved from that to the fiscal side because now she's the Treasury Secretary. And for her to, observe silence like this is really bizarre. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I know a lot of congressmen, senators, their office aides are all watching Global Insights. Guys, you owe this nation an answer. You owe this world an answer. If there is some country that can do anything about what is happening, it is the United States. And you have spent money. There are so many scandals now coming out of how the money that was given is being swallowed whole. And I'll come to that in a little bit because we are still gathering data. Doesn't augur well for the Democrats at all. Leave alone the bungling. There's also a lot of other scams that are coming up. We'll keep you posted on that too. In European news, EU places Indo-Pacific focus squarely on the front at the Paris Forum as the world slips into chaos. With trade and exports and security as focus, South Korea, Japan, India, New Zealand, and a host of Asian nations attend the meet, with China not invited. Your thoughts, Sriji?
My thought is that basically your EU, which was dormant, we talked about this, has now taken leadership. They are witnessing the unfolding drama in their own shores. Indo-Pacific is one of the biggest trade opportunities for EU to get out of the tango that they are in. So they have clearly taken the leadership as far as the Indo-Pacific is concerned. The fact that this forum is being held in Paris, they have been able to assemble a whole host of nations from Asia, including Japan and Korea, with Indonesia and other adjacent nations like Philippines, Thailand, and Taiwan, is a very, very important development in the global strategic arena in terms of the changing landscape from a power structure point of view.
And in India news, India's External Affairs Minister commences his 3-day visit to France to attend the EU Ministerial Forum and Indo-Pacific Forum. India and Israel are working on joint cooperation in the space sector. This follows similar cooperation with Taiwan. Indian Air Force will participate in a multi-nation air exercise in the United Kingdom, and it's called at the end of March, and it is called as Cobra Warrior 22. Sridharji, India is also beginning to rise as a power that can be mature, that can be trusted, that can be stable, as some of the people are acting like their heads have been cut off, sir.
I think the good news for India is that it has got its footprint around the most important nations. Another nation which is really showing its leadership is France.
Yes.
Clearly, Australia and Japan are slowly making their waves. Folks, don't be surprised if Israel and Taiwan equally emerge as unifying forces in this new power structure that is evolving and changing as United States slips deeper and deeper into abyss.
And in Asia news, Mike Pompeo and his wife to visit Taiwan from the 3rd of March to the 5th and meet President Tsai Ing-wen and the Foreign Minister Joseph Wu. France commits to Indo-Pacific and will not vacate anytime soon. I think you just mentioned this, sir. So we are seeing that there is a new alignment starting, and let's hope that this is more mature and more measured steps. We are not. There's no need to hurry. In my opinion, sir, I don't think China is going to invade Taiwan. They may try and take some small islands here and there and watch how the world would react. I think that's how it's going to play out. But let's wait and see. This is going to be, again, interesting. Maybe China also wants to make sure that the Russian experiment that Putin is conducting goes according to plan. So we will see how that goes. In West Asia, sorry, if you want to add something to this, sir.
No, I think that the most important points, I think, again, we are covering this, the significance of Mike Pompeo's visit to Taiwan. Nobody is covering. Okay, they may have made a passing comment, but nobody is covering. It's very telling that the former Secretary of State, amongst all nations, is visiting Taiwan and spending 3 days. He's not the only one. There's many people who have visited Taiwan. And when you look at the Taiwan model relative to what has happened in Ukraine, there is a conspicuous difference. Taiwan has been anchored and supported by many, many nations, from EU to India to other, even smaller Eastern European nations like Lithuania, in rising against the Chinese perceptive aggression. So therefore, what you're witnessing is Mike Pompeo's presence is basically to re-establish connections that occurred during his tenure under President Trump. And he is addressing think tank, he is addressing the media groups, he is addressing the present administration in Taiwan. It's a very significant development, but somehow people, the mainstream media, have washed it away.
You know, one interesting thing about Taiwan, it is as democratic as one gets. In the 90s, I used to visit often, Sridharji, and I used to remember people joking that, oh, look at this man, he's still missing the Japanese occupation. Japan was in Taiwan till 1945. There were people in Taiwan that felt that Japanese did a better job of running their country than the present government is. But it is very democratic. Taiwan is like, it's like India. If you ask me, no two things are similar. Everybody feels like they have something to say about it. And yet this place is, a leader in plastics. It's a leader in, PC, server, all these hardware technologies. They have really, really, established a place saying that we are going to be the best in this. So very impressive, in fact, also semiconductor fabs. So it's going to be very interesting how this is going to play out. Sridharji, any update on where the status of all the different fabs are? They were going to diversify the risk, TMC.
TSMC's fabs are now in, two of them in Japan. One of them is coming up in Texas, in Austin. They're also expanding they're trying to establish their footprint in India. Besides, I think they may even think of a third plant in Japan. So you have now seen Taiwan very quickly respond and expand their footprint, especially around three strategic regions, which are concentrations of heavy requirement of the what you call as the wafer. So that's how they have done. Just one small point: the Taiwan Semiconductor Complex or Taiwan Semiconductor Corporation, by way of market cap, is the sixth largest in the world. Sixth largest in the world. So that tells you something about Taiwan and its footprint. They have also made efforts to protect and have deterrence measures in the event China attacks Taiwan, to make sure that their technology is not stolen.
And let's take a look at West Asia, the 3I region. Iran appears ready to swap prisoners with US as the nuclear deal inches closer. It looks like this nuclear deal is nothing but essentially honoring the obligations of having taken the money to now come through and restore the deal. That's how I see it, Sridharji. I could be wrong. You tell me if I'm wrong or not, sir.
I'll give you one simple provocative statement. It is the next disaster in the making.
NATO member Turkey opposes sanctions on Ukraine, urges restraint. Qatar says almost impossible to immediately replace Russian supplies to Europe. Now, there's a very interesting article that I read in CNN, and what they said was that should Russia decide to completely cut off the oil and gas supplies to the Western Europe or just to Europe itself, that nobody can match them, at least in the near term. It's going to take some time, and winter is still upon us, another 2 to 3 months to go. So this could really freeze the European region, sir. So there are lots of things here to ponder for NATO, isn't it?
For Europe, there's a lot of things for Europe to ponder. There's a lot of things for the world to ponder. There's a lot of things for the G7 nations to ponder. There's a lot of things for the G20 nations to ponder. There's a lot of things for the P5 nations in United Nations to ponder. These are all supposed to be the world leaders in global strategic thinking. And what we have is an unmitigated disaster, which is staring at one of the most developed parts of the world, which is Europe.
And in Africa news, Nigeria, a traditional ally of China, says there is no need for OPEC plus talks to increase supplies amid Iran talks. Yeah, they should be happy. Every oil producer will be happy now because the barrel is now touching $100, and who knows where it is going to stop. There are always sharks circling around the waters. Derivatives can shoot this thing up to 200 or 250 even. The sky is the limit, really. I mean, those countries who have done long-term agreements will come out of this relatively unscathed. But if somebody is buying spot, it's going to be a big pain. Sridharji, your thought before we sign off on this program?
Well, I think that you hit the nail on the head. If you are in even short-term trades, like short to medium-term trades, which are 3 months and 6 months, you have no ability to reallocate resources to hedge these costs. So it's a big challenge for oil importing nations. I think that's my observation. To quote, Nigeria is a soft proxy of China, and I think we covered China and Nigeria close together. So who props up Iran, which is another ally of China? Nigeria comes out and says, "Hi, OPEC, no need OPEC plus. We don't need to pump more oil. Why? We'll take oil from Iran." So it doesn't matter what the 2015 Obama deal is. Iranians are getting support from many nations thanks to the failed policies of the collective intellect of the Western nations. We are looking at not just one disaster, but we are looking at multiple disasters ranging from natural resources to oil to gas to security threats that are looming. Oh, have we forgotten COVID? Yes, we have forgotten COVID. What's happening to Omicron? It is spreading all around the world as well.
With that, we bring today's episode to a close. We'll be back again on Wednesday. A shout out to all of our viewers to please share, like, and subscribe to this channel. Please refer this to your friends and family. We are trying to get you the most important news of the day. We are trying to do it every alternate day because we realize that doing it once a week perhaps is stretching letting things out for a little too long, because news is news. It is happening 24/7. And I think we have discovered that 3 times a week perhaps is the right balance. I mean, we need your support, viewers, because Sridharji is working. He's non-stop at this, and I can't say enough thanks to him to get this thing up and running. You don't know how hard it is. Here we have to check and double check sometimes our facts, so that we know what we are saying is true, because these days MSM is one of those hit and miss kind of things. We don't want to be wrong about this. So please understand the importance of what we are trying to do here. We're doing it loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. It has got nothing to do with one party, one individual, one country. This is the world itself. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Please, thanks, and please help us keep this flag flying. Sridharji, namaskar, and I'll see you again on Wednesday, sir.
Namaskar. Thank you so much. Thanks for those good words. Thanks to all of you, and thanks to Sriji, and thanks to Sachin for the support that makes us all work together and bring this every alternative day to you in a manner that is not covered in the mainstream media, and providing our own insights as we see appropriate, assessing the situation. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.
Namaskar.